Hello and welcome to your first guitar lesson. I'm going to cover quite a bit of stuff today, so I'm just going to lay it out there. You can watch the video as many times as you need to. So we're going to start from the absolute very start, and I'm going to define every single term. If there's a term that you do not understand, go back, watch the video. If I miss something accidentally, leave me a comment. I will answer the question for you personally. Okay, here we go. Now, first of all, this is a guitar, obviously. So let's talk about the body parts, or the parts of the guitar. We have the body, right? That's this part right here. This is called the neck, okay? And this is the headstock. So it's just like a person. You have body, neck, head. Okay, now these are your tuning keys, okay? That's what you use to tighten your strings. Now, there's three things that determine pitch on a string. Now, what is pitch? Okay, pitch is highs and lows, like, that's a really high note, that's a really low note, right? Same with the guitar. Now, on the guitar, the low notes are physically on top. So the thick string, if you have a big thick rubber band and you pluck it, it's gonna give you a bigger, lower sound than the thin string. So there's three things that actually determine pitch on a guitar, and that is the length of the string, right? And since these are all the same length, they have to be tightened and thickened. So the thicker strings are going to resonate lower, low, and this is a high note. So that's what we call pitch. Okay, so now I won't get too deep into that, but one of the first things you need to understand is that, well, first let me continue with the body parts and you'll pick this all up, okay? So these little metal strips here, these are called frets. Now, when I talk about the first fret, I'm talking about the space that is behind the first fret. Now, what is behind? Behind is this way. We're going from left to right. I'm a right-handed player, so this will be opposite, I suppose, if you're left-handed, so forgive me for that. We'll have to adjust that, but so you have, here's the thing you need to understand. The low note is physically in the time-space continuum on top, okay? So when I talk about the top string, I'm talking about the lowest string. And when I talk about the lowest string, I'm literally talking about, in physical reality, the highest string. So let's get that straight before we go any further. When I say low note, I'm talking about low in pitch. Okay, so pitch is those were four pitches, different pitches. So it has to do with the frequency of the vibration per second. Okay, so now that we know this about our frets, we need to name our strings. There are 6 strings on the guitar, and they are, now if you can find a tuner, that's gonna be your easiest way to go. And I'll do a video on just tuning the guitar. Look for that. Hopefully I'll get that to you out today or tomorrow. So, okay, so we've learned this is our body, this is our neck, this is our headstock, these are our tuners, right? I can tune, I can change the note. Okay, so now your strings in order from the lowest note to the highest note, meaning from physically this thick top string, we're gonna go down in, you gotta get this, okay? I know this is hard. It's hard for me just to explain it, but everything's backwards. The high note is physically on the bottom. Okay, so from the thick, low, that is our low E string. Now remember these, write these down. Just go ahead and for now, just learn them by rote. We're going to talk about the notes. We're going to get into all that today. This is going to be a nice little long one. So rewind this, do what you need to do to absorb it and get it in. Okay, so when I talk about the first fret, remember, I'm talking about this space right here, okay? So if I want to say, put your finger on the E string, we just learned what the E string was, right? It's this first thick top string, okay? If I put my finger on the first fret, I don't want to put it on top of the metal bar. That's gonna give you a kind of a weird sound. What you wanna do is you're basically making a ramp, and this deadens, this is dead note right here, and this is ringing. It's as if you've created this. Yeah, you'll figure it out. Okay, so that's how we make notes on the guitar. We're gonna go here. If I put my finger on the first fret, I've gone up what we call a half step. I will teach you that in 5 minutes. So what I want you to do right now for the first exercise, this is a physical exercise, has nothing to do with learning your notes, anything. All I want you to do is I want you to take your first 2 fingers, pointer finger on the first fret, E string, and then your middle finger on the second fret. Now, when I say second fret, once again, I'm not talking about the metal bars. It is the second metal bar, but you want to be behind the metal bar. And behind is on a right-handed guitar to the left of, okay? So we're going, the notes are climbing from here. Well, right, the notes are, they're going higher, okay? So the very first string is E, okay? The second string is A. It's the second one physically from the top, but it's in pitch. It is the second one from the bottom. So climbing from low notes to high notes, it's E, A, D, G, B, and finally E is your 6th string. I'll do that one more time. The very first one, top thick string, that is your low E. What you want to do is remember these first 2 notes this week. First of all, write down the string names. Just write them down in order. E, A, D, G, B, E. Okay, that's all you need to do right now. Okay, so this is, just do that first. And then as far as a physical exercise, you want to go, just take your fingers and just get used to, just make these first 2 notes. Maybe do the same thing on the next string. See, I'm just moving up the string. All I'm doing is I'm playing these notes on the first 2 frets. Right? Now, this guitar is just a regular average $100 cheapo guitar. So yours should sound at least this good. If you don't have a guitar that at least sounds in tune, or you have a guitar where this is called your action. If you have like a ski slope in your neck and you have too much high, like if your strings are really hard to push down in this middle area of the guitar, you probably need to do a truss rod adjustment. That's coming, I'll do that with my tuning video. So right now, okay, so you've got that. You want to practice doing a physical thing. Just work out these first 2 fingers. Learn what a fret is. When I talk about the first fret, remember, or let's talk about the second fret. We're gonna go, this space right here is gonna be called fret 1. This is fret 2. Now technically the metal bars are the frets. However, we're gonna put our placement of the fingers is going to go inside these. So if I learn my first chord, I'm gonna teach you a nice, pretty, easy chord, okay? Now, you can take your first 2 fingers like this, take your pointer finger and put it on the A string, which is your 2nd string from the top, on the second fret, okay? So this is the second string, that's our A string right here, okay? See that? Now, I am simply going to play that note and just feel that, okay? Now, this is the next step. This is actually a second lesson, so sort of categorize this. I'm not going to do any edits on this video. I'm just rolling it, all right? So the next thing you want to understand is the natural notes. And what do I mean by natural notes? You've probably heard people talking about like sharps and flats and things like that, right? Okay, so the white keys on the piano are simply the letters of the alphabet from A to G. It's like 7 days of the week. What it does is you go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, guess what the next day is? The first day that you started with, and just the cycle repeats. It's exactly the same. There are 7 tones in the major scale. That's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, which bring, you've heard the song, T that brings us back to do. Now this is do and this is do. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then this next, what we call an octave, oct being 8, right? 7 plus 1 is 8. What you've done is you've come back around to Sunday again. Let's say you start on Sunday, right? So Saturday would be your 7th day, and then Sunday would be your, quote, octave, okay? Just think of it that way to get you started, okay? So we have 7 letters of the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, okay? So remember that, write that down. There's 7 letters of the alphabet. Hold on, I'm gonna have to pause this. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to make that chord. Okay, we're gonna take the pointer finger and we're gonna put it on the A string, which is your second string from the top, which is the second highest from the bottom. It's the A string, okay? Learn your notes and then we can communicate. That's just the easiest way for us to roll. There's no edits to this. I'm just pretty much laying it out here. So you're gonna have to sort of find your way in your pacing, because this is actually a lot of stuff. I would not normally be able to teach this in one lesson. The reason I'm doing it is because this is video. You can go back, watch it as many times as you need to. So take your time, that's for sure, honestly. So we're gonna put our finger on the second fret, and once again, I'm gonna drive this home. By second fret, I mean the space. There's the first space, there's my A string, there's the first fret, there's the second fret, okay? Now I'm gonna take my middle finger and I'm gonna put it on the D string, which is the next string physically down, right? So it's going to be, I've got the first string is your E string, your second string is your A string, and I've got that fretted on the second fret on these 2 notes, the A and the D string. And now if I strum, it's a pretty chord. Okay, now I'm gonna do a video about timing after this. So here's the very next thing that you really want to get in your understanding, okay? Because this is not, you don't have to understand every last detail of music or guitar, you know, to play and have a good time and make your own good music, you know, just for your own fun. If you want to take it more seriously, obviously you will, and I don't need to encourage you for that, because you're going to encourage yourself. So don't beat yourself up trying to figure everything out all at once. It's not going to happen that way. And so what you want to do is first of all, we have to really nail this point home about the natural letters. Okay, the natural letters, once again, are the notes A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, right? Well, what's the next letter after G? Remember, we're starting the cycle over, just like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday would be the day after Saturday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 would be the number after 7. Okay, so you're back to where you started from. So we go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over, A, B, C. So we keep going up, and up is towards the body. By up, I mean up in pitch. See, the notes are gonna get higher and higher. And the reason that is because of the length of the string. The shorter the string, the higher the note. So that's what you're doing on guitar. You're literally changing the length of the strings. When you put it here, you've created a string length from this fret to this. This is called a bridge. Okay, these are your I can't remember exactly what you call them, but they basically hold your strings in place, right? Pegs, string pegs, I suppose. Okay, so write this down. Let's start over. I'm going to tell you the names of your notes again. The first string from the top physically, which is the bottom in tonality, in pitch. This is low E. And this is A, D, G, B, E. Okay, so we're going to use one string. Let's start. First of all, remember this, write it down. There is a whole step between letters except between B and C and between E and F. Those are half steps. Now, let's talk about what is a half step. Now, on piano, a half step is from, well, I'll show you that in a second. Let's just do it on guitar. Each fret represents a half step, okay? So I'm going to use my low E string again. Let me get this in the light for you. Okay, this is my low E, right? And if I just put my finger on the first fret, I go up a half step, right? And if I go up another fret, I go up another half step, 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 right? So just think about that logically. Two halves make a whole. So if I go from, this is our note E. If I want to go a half step, there's a half step between B and C and between E and F. So let's just make this as clear as mud. All right, check this out. Starting with A to B is a whole step because that's the rule. There's a whole step between letters, except between B and C and E and F. This is crucial. You must memorize this. This is, if we're going to be able to communicate. Now, once again, if you want the fast track, I can take you down the fast track, and you don't, you do not have to learn every last, detail of music to have fun, but you at least need to know this basic stuff, okay? So, whole steps and half steps. We started on A. There was a whole step between letters, right? So if I go from A and I want to go up a whole step to the note B, I have to go 2 half steps. 2 halves make a whole. So there's my first half step, there's my second half step. So from here, the open string, by the term open means that I'm not putting there's no fingers down anywhere, it's just, quote, the open string. Excuse me. Okay, so now, whole step between A and B. Remember the rule, there's a whole step between letters except between B and C, which is a half step, and between E and F, which is a half step. So now if I'm on the note B and I want to go to C, how far do I go? It's a half step. There is a whole step between letters except these two places. So since we're at the exception between B and C, I'm only going to go from here, right? And I'm going to move up to here. That is C. So this is A. Two halves make a whole. I go up a whole step to B. I go a half step up to C. And now there's a whole step between letters, except between B and C and E and F. I'm not between B and C and E and F. I'm now on C, and I want to go to D. Well, where do I go? First of all, the notes are ascending from the headstock to the body, from low to high, right? This is a low note, and the note gets higher as you go, right? Same here, right? Okay, so there is a whole step between letters, A. Now I want you to work this on one string right now. One string. A string will be great. If you want to do it on E, that's fine. If I'm going to do it on E, I'm going to start on the note E, right? There's my note E. So I want to find the note F. How far is it between E and F? Let's review the rule. There is a whole step between natural letters except between B and C, which is a half step, and between E and F, which is a half step. So I just said it. Between E and F is a half step. Here is E. So if I go up one fret equals one half step. 2 frets equals a whole step. So between E and F is a half step. Okay? Crucial. Half steps, whole steps. There is a whole step between natural letters, and by natural, I mean just the letters themselves. You've heard people talking about sharps and flats, like A flat, B flat, C sharp, whatever. Forget all that. What you want to do is you're not going to know the sharp note until you know the natural note. So what you're doing is we're orienting you to the natural notes on guitar. So your first assignment is to just work with one string. Pick a string. I'm going to do it on E, half step to F. There's a whole step to G, so that means I have to go 2 half steps to make a whole step from where I was, which was here. So I'm now here, that's G. There's a whole step between letters, so between G and A, because that's like Sunday and Monday, I went A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and now I'm back to A. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So those notes just climb in alphabetical order, A through G. So we're on G, we want to find A. Well, there's a whole step between natural letters, right? Except between B and C and E and F. This is between G and A. So between G and A is another whole step. There's your A. Between A and B, what's that, half step or whole step? It's a whole step. So we're going to go up one more whole step to the note B. Right, B. There is a whole step between letters except between B and C and E and F. Now we're on B and we want to find C. So is that a half step or a whole step? It is a half step. So there's your note C. Okay? So E, F, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, and another whole step to E. Now that's not going to sound like the do, re, mi that you're used to because we're not starting on do. So that is your absolute first assignment. First of all, we're going to review. Learn the guitar, body, neck, headstock, tuners. This is your bridge, okay? Now, these are called frets. When we talk about frets, remember that the frets are the spaces. So if I talk about the first fret, I'm talking about this space right here, okay? So if I make that first chord that I showed you about, it's an E minor. This is probably not the best fingering, but this is what you're going to end up with, okay? Right here, these 2 notes, okay? And then you can start to strum, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and continue because you can, this would be probably the 3rd or maybe even the 4th lesson in this series. So use your own judgment, work on it the best you can, and master it. And by mastering, I mean just understand it. You can continue to move forward. You don't have to thoroughly like wait up 2 months to get it exactly 100%. But what you do want to do is to just understand these fundamentals, and then we'll be able to communicate so much easier. Okay, so now this is the next thing, and I'm just going to show you. First of all, once we have our quote music part, the music are the notes and the sounds and the tones, right? But now we have a thing called timing, our time. Now by time, I mean what we're going to do over the course between the start of the song and the end of the song. Okay, that doesn't mean that we're trying to time it 2 o'clock. We're not trying to time it in terms of seconds or minutes or none of that, okay? By timing, we're gonna just basically have a count. Generally speaking, the most common are 3 and 4. I'm going to teach you simply about 4/4 time. It's called time signature. You've seen it, it's the 4, it looks like a fraction, a 4 over a 4. All you need to know is that it's called time signature, and it's going to tell you that there are 4 beats per measure. Now, what is a measure? A measure is going to, for now, all I want you to do is this little distance, this little unit. It's a unit of, we're just simply going to, I'm going to show you the simplest strum, which is we're going to just strum straight down on what we call quarter notes. Okay, but what I want you to do is I don't want you to go like 1, 2, 3, 4. Each stroke is going to be a definite downstroke with, you're going to, and then pull your hand back up, right? I just want you to do this, down, 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 and go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. There's my pretty E minor chord. And now. Okay, and you're just gonna, that'll be a good, nice chord for you to practice. That's called E minor. You can look that up in your books. And the way these work, I'll do a video about that actually here in just a few minutes. I hope you guys had a good lesson. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do here, or what I'm trying to show you. If you don't, write me in the comments, or email me. I'll get back with you. I'm happy to help individuals the best that I can. Now, I don't know, hopefully I'll be swamped. I'd love to be swamped. So hit me up, and I hope this works for you. Stick with me. I can show you the easy way to do it without really scrambling your brain. That's just not going to help you. Things come naturally over time. That's just the